Okay, so we are live on Facebook. Joe's getting connected. And I'm going to try to share this real quick. Hi, Joe.
Hey Megan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good.
So I made a little wheel for today. I just put a couple of topics on here for us, but I can always adjust it if there's additional topics. So we have a couple of people watching in Zoom with us right now who are joining us from the collective. So thank you all for joining us. And before I spin this wheel, Joe, Kamala, and Megan, do any of you have additional topics you want me to put on the wheel? So the topics we have right now are listed here. So we have alternatives to escape extinction that was suggested from our Instagram post. And then I just chose these other three. 2023 conferences, your favorite topic to discuss in the field right now, and then favorite podcast or social media to follow that's not from a behavior analyst, but it helps inform your practice. So those are the topics I have right now. Does anyone have suggestions of additional topics to add before I spin the wheel?
I like those. Those are good.
I know. I would say instead of it said etc. I was gonna say favorite books, but
yeah, it can really be. It's just like anything. I guess I put here. Let me do it this way. How's that? Content creators that are non-behavior analytic. I shouldn't put. I'm going to say that are not behavior analysts because what they're talking about might be easily behavior analytic in nature. But
yes.
Okay. I just can't spell either. All right, let me update the wheel. See if we have. Okay, everyone agrees. Let me double check on Facebook if there's anyone commenting. I don't see anyone. Okay.
I really love the content creator. That's like right up my alley right now.
Well, maybe you'll get lucky and that'll be the one. But if not, you know, next week. So for those of you who missed the memo, we are going, hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to be doing this podcast recording where this, I'm Dr. Megan.
And I'm Joe Smith.
And we're both wearing blue today. And we're the host of the Do Better podcast. So we're doing kind of a combo where we're going to use the wheel to decide our topic, but just have kind of an open flowing conversation. And neither one of us have time right now, so it's not getting edited or anything. We're just going to pop the audio onto the podcast. So it is what it is. Hopefully people enjoy it. If for some reason we run out of wheel topics and it's a Tuesday at 12 o'clock Eastern, then Joe and I will just have a conversation about whatever we want. Speaking of, before I spin the wheel, I hope this doesn't bore you, but Joe and I are both football fans. And he texted me last night because there was apparently a big football game happening. And he said, what'd you say? It's time or something like that?
It's a game on.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, Joe, I hate to break it to you, but I am not a Browns fan anymore. So I told him I would tell him why while we're on here. So I'll just tell that real quick and then we'll spin the wheel. I did root for the Browns at the beginning of last year before they put the new quarterback in. What's his name? Is that Deshaun Watson?
Watson, yeah.
So for those of you that don't know, the Browns took a quarterback who was punished by the NFL for engaging in various acts against women. So when the Browns decided to have that person be their quarterback, I was like, I'm done. So I didn't really root for an NFL team last year at all. And then this year, my favorite quarterback is playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker. So I'm so excited. He played for the Browns. I loved him when he played for the Browns. The only time I didn't like him was when he put the Oklahoma flag on Ohio State's field, but that can be forgiven. So he has such a good energy. I absolutely love him. I live in St. Pete. I'm already a Tampa Bay Rays fan, so I figured it's time to become a local, and now I'm a Buccaneers fan. I don't feel like it's bandwagon yet because I honestly have no idea if they're going to be good or not. They have won both of their games so far, but I just felt like it was time to pick a new team, and with Baker being in Tampa, it just felt perfect.
Yeah, and Baker was for Cleveland Brown quarterback for a while, so it just works out. So
Yep. Who won last night?
Steelers.
Okay. After I was not very happy to see people posting about Chubb getting injured by the Steelers, though a lot of my friends seem to think it was a shady hit. I didn't see it, so I don't know. What do you think, Joe? Was it a shady hit?
I don't think it's a shady hit because typical quarterbacks, I mean, not quarterbacks, but like typical, like when you go down um, trying to tackle someone, you do try to go for the legs. So it just was a bad timing, bad place. Like it's just one of those things that it's like, it is what it is.
Ugh, it sucks. He's
Yeah.
out for the season, and he was one of my favorite players when I was a Browns fan. So he's
Yeah.
one of the best players too. All right, so
Yes.
spin the wheel. I'm sure Kamal and Megan are like, this is not what we signed up for. Why are we here right now? Is it a football podcast? What is happening? All right, let's give it a spin. It's not going to be your topic today, Joe, but that's okay. We'll get to it next time. And this one is probably most relevant because
Yeah.
we're getting into different season right now. So I
Mhm.
guess if we're going to talk about it, now is the best time. So 2023 conferences, Megan, Kamala, anyone else that's watching us live, feel free to type in the chat, or at some point if you want to come on the microphone, you can let us know. Joe, are there any conferences you're going to between now and December? Not looking into 2024, just like through the rest of this year.
Unfortunately, I'm going to say no, but a lot of the reason why is just personal. Like I'm at the point right now. This season is just so busy between holidays, between family stuff, and the whole transition of getting my kids back into school. This is just a really bad time of the year for me to be looking at any conferences.
Okay.
And I already spent like my big conference budget at the beginning of the year for ABAI. So,
definitely happen. All right. Yeah. Well, so then this is what we're going to do. I'm going to share the conferences that I'm going to. I can also mention other conferences that are happening. What I want you to do, not to make you feel like you're missing out, but you guys tell me which one you wish you could go to.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I'm not going to this one, but happening next week is FABA, which is the Florida's State Association Conference. I'm not going to that one because I'm going to Ocean City, Maryland for a Weezer performance. There's like a music festival there. So I'm going to that instead. Every once in a while, I do choose flex over work.
And I will say, so that is so much more important, is going to that Weezer concert, because like who knows how long they're going to stay in concert, and be on tour.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. I'm not super thrilled about going to Ocean City when I already live at the beach, and now I have to fly to Philadelphia and then drive there, because there's no airports that were like every airport, like you're going to drive for 3 or 4 hours to get there. Mm-hmm. Like, so annoying. Would have been a lot easier if I still lived in Virginia Beach, but that's okay. Yeah. That's where I'm going. So that's happening next. Huh?
I was going to say, you're going to drive anyways for about 3 hours to get to Ocean City anyways, so.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, so after that, I'm presenting at the Gulf Coast Association for Behavior Analysis, and I'll drop links in the chat for each of these so that if anyone's interested, well, for the ones that I have, I'll drop links in the chat. So I'm presenting there. I forget what the topic is that I'm doing for that one, but that's where I am. So it's like Pat Fryman is the main presenter. I think it's Pat Fryman and Mary Jane Weiss are the headliners, if you will. And the conference is in New Orleans. So if anyone is trying to figure out, that conference is October 6th and 7th, and you have some CEs you need to get, and you're trying to picture a fun place to go, I think it's going to be a wonderful conference. It's a little bit smaller venue than some of the others, but I'm really excited about it. Yes. So Dr. Pat Fryman, Mary Jane Weiss, and Dr. Jim Moore are also presenting at that conference. So I'm going to put the link to that in the chat in case anybody would like to learn more about that one. Is anyone planning to go to the Gulf Coast conference in New Orleans? It's for Louisiana Association.
I'm going to tell you that conference sounds amazing. And then just being in New Orleans by itself, it's like amazing. Been there, love the city, love the food. Sounds like a great conference.
Get what the topic is that I'm for that one, but that's where I am. Oh, so, sorry. Why are you doing that? It's like that's supposed to be muted. Sorry. I was like, why am I talking? I'm not talking right now. I'm so confused. I was trying to put the link to the conference in the chat. But yeah, New Orleans is a great place, and I haven't been there since COVID, so I'm super excited to go back. I was going almost yearly at one point, just the way conferences were happening, and I think APBA is in New Orleans again this year, so I'll be there a few times, it seems. Okay, so that's October 6th and 7th, and then I'm presenting at the next conference. I'm super excited about this one too. The Hoosier Association for Behavior Analysis, so Indiana. It's in Bloomington, and that conference is October 18th to 20th. So I'm really excited. Dr. Tarbox is the keynote for that one, and Dr. Becca Tagg, that a lot of people might know if you're active on social media or just from being at conferences. She's an incredible human, and I don't remember what she's presenting on. A lot of the time she focuses on burnout and business operations and things like that. So she's presenting at that conference, and for that one, I remember what I'm presenting on. The 5 commitments to ethical and humane service delivery. So focusing a little bit about social validity and centering autistic voices, and then also just on 5 things we could do to be more humane in the services that we provide. So that's what I'm presenting there. So I put the link for that one in the chat. Anyone planning on going to the Hoosier Association? I feel like I can't say HABA, because when I say HABA, everyone thinks I mean Hawaii. I'm not talking about Hawaii. So there's that one. And then after that is November 9th to the 11th. I don't even have to travel for this one because it is in St. Pete Beach at Tradewinds, one of my favorite resorts. It's the Standard Acceleration Society, and they have Dr. Rosales Ruiz and Dr. Heward as the key speakers. They're also doing a lot. If you've never attended a Standard Acceleration conference, they have a lot of stuff planned for new attendees to help them learn a little bit more about precision teaching and all of the things that come along with that. So that I'm super excited about. And the conference itself is just awesome. Even if you don't think you need to know about precision teaching or you don't ever plan on using it, the community is incredible. The topics usually have a good DEI focus. There's so many unique ideas for problem solving and troubleshooting. And again, just the people are so much fun, and there's so many amazing things to do. I'm a little biased, but St. Pete Beach is pretty amazing. So it's also a conference where the resort itself is very child friendly. So a lot of people will bring their family. So that's a good one. And then kind of around that same time, I have to be in like 2 places at once. In that conference, I'm doing a panel on Ascent with a few amazing folks there. And then I don't have a link yet, but on October 28th, there's an online event that Matthew Harrington's hosting. He did it last year, and he'll be doing it again this year, where there's many of us presenting on different topics. He runs the ABA Behaviorist Book Club. He does a lot of like journal reviews and things like that. So he did a free event last year. I can't remember if it's free or not. I think it is. But so that, I think if you're looking for another conference before the end of the year, but you don't have travel abilities, that one might be pretty good. And I don't have a link for it yet, but I will post it when I do. There's also on November 11th, so it's like same time frame as the Standard Acceleration Society, but this one is also online. I'm presenting for the Disrupt ABA conference that has 2 tracks. It has a business track and it has a clinical track. Not surprisingly, I'm on the clinical track, and I'll be talking about I think that one I'm focusing on neurodiversity affirming practices because I just recently, it's hosted by Verbal Beginnings, and I just recently did an event for them on early intervention and looking at agency and assent and autonomy. So I think for the Disrupt conference, I'm focusing on neurodiversity affirming practices. So those are all the conferences that I'm doing. And the wait, I forgot one, but I also don't have a link for this one. And I'm highly sure most people won't be able to go to it. But I'm also presenting at a conference in Saudi Arabia on November 20th, and it's huge. It's focused on sensory things, but they wanted people from different disciplines. So I'm going to be talking there about, I think it's the early intervention piece there is the presentation I'm doing, like how to have assent and autonomy. And I think the person that I'm coordinating with said there's like over 2,000 attendees and there's like hundreds of presenters. So I've never been to Saudi Arabia, and I'm really looking forward to attending and participating in that conference. So that's like the big travel one that I have coming up. So Joe, New Orleans, Bloomington, St. Pete Beach, online, or Saudi Arabia, also plus the content. We don't have to just look at location, but
Yeah.
which ones do you wish you could go to?
That's tough because like all of them are super fascinating. All of them have their own little like niche of like topics that I would want to participate in. If I could travel and just get a viewpoint of like multiple different people, I would do the Saudi Arabia trip. Just because that sounds so amazing, and and it sounds like there's a bunch of professionals there from not just ABA but all different disciplines.
Yes. Yep.
So I would want to do that trip. If I wanted to attend a conference that that I can stay at home for, it would be the Matthew Harrington's. And then if I wanted. And then I think I would definitely do I think I would do the Gulf Coast.
Yeah.
Just because I always wanted to go and listen at one of the talks that Dr. Pat Fryman is presenting on. That's like one of my speakers I want to like listen to.
He's great to see live, and as far as I've seen, he's not presenting at as many conferences each year. I see him usually at like one or two now, where it used to be many. So
yeah,
I think it's going to be harder and harder to catch him live. I've seen him live a few times. I was also just thinking as you talked, for anyone who's listening to this, most of the conferences I mentioned do actually have an online option. I know the Standard Acceleration one does. I think the Hoosier Association one does. Of course, Matthews and Disrupt are already online. I can't remember if Gulf Coast does. I'm pretty sure Saudi Arabia does not. But that's another thing to think about. If for people that heard these potential events happening and are like, I can't travel right now, most of them are having that online component as well. So check out the links and see if you're interested. Megan or Kamala, are you all going to any conferences that we didn't talk about before the year ends?
I'm going to the NPC conference in DC for psychology.
Oh, nice.
It's not an ABA one, but it's for my psychology license.
Okay.
That's the first weekend in November.
Okay. Is it typically all psychologists that attend that one then, or is there a mixture?
Typically just psychologists.
Okay. And Kamala said she doesn't have plans to attend any conferences this year. Totally just like Joe.
Yep, not me.
Are there I'll ask one more question and then we'll probably close out. So Joe, this is a question to you or Kamala and Megan or anyone else that's watching on Facebook Live. Are there things that I guess I could add this as a whole separate topic, but are there any topics that you think maybe aren't focused on enough at conferences, or like a whole conference we could have, a whole conference on this topic that you wish someone would create a conference for?
For me personally, I'm in the state of North Carolina, and we are the last state in the entire United States who did not allow behavior analysts to practice independently until very recently. Yay. Um, and so I would have to oversee the BCBAs in this state, or not all of them, obviously, but I would oversee some BCBAs within my companies and stuff. And one thing that I've noticed in my practice throughout the years is that a lot of times BCBAs come out of school not knowing a lot of different things that go along with working with the population, typically the autism population. Um, for example, what to do if a client threatens suicide or homicide. I've had to do trainings on that. Things like dual diagnoses. What does that mean? How do we separate the autism from something else, whether it's ADHD, Down syndrome, fetal alcohol? And then the other really big one is medications.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding what the different classes of medications are, and then understanding and knowing how to find the side effects for them. And then determining whether it's, for example, the autism or the side effects of the medication.
Yep. Those are all excellent suggestions. It sounds like so if I had to give that a category or label, I would say like a psychology conference for behavior analysts.
Yes, that's
like
a great.
Not 101, but
No,
what
but yeah,
be covered in your psych training as a licensed psychologist.
And one last one, and I'll be quiet so somebody else can talk. But how to actually, and I don't know if this is being addressed in ABA programs yet, but how to read some of these diagnostic, or not just diagnostic, but different assessments. How to read all of the results, all of the, just as simple as the Vineland. What does it mean? What's the standard deviation? What's the mean? What does that all mean? And I've learned over the years that a lot of times BCBAs don't have that background, especially now BCBAs have to have some kind of background in psychology from their undergrad, psychology, social work, a related field, something like that. So hopefully they got something like that in undergrad, but some of the older BCBAs didn't have to have that that undergrad program.
Yep.
Yeah.
People have forgotten over the years.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking like the new topic could be things we wish were on the task list. Behavior analyst. And other stuff.
The suicide and homicide comes up way more. Thankfully, it doesn't come up a lot, but it comes up way more often than we would like it to. And I get calls more frequently than I would like to say on, what do I do? This kid just threatened to kill his classmates, and he has a plan, and he has put a weapon in his backpack.
Yeah, that's definitely important to know how to deal with all of those things. Thank you, Megan. Those were so insightful. Joe, do you have any comments to add to what Megan was saying?
I mean, those are great that are, like, for me as a behavior analyst, like I wouldn't have thought to take those out as topics, like necessarily, like when I go to conference, like really look at, oh, that's the topic that I really need to like be a part of. But like they're very valid, and we should have like some type of background in those, like especially the Vineland assessments, like how to read them and how to analyze them, so then we can like be able to use them for our payers and say like based on this this assessment and the standard deviation, this is the client is like significantly behind his peers. Like, I mean, it's because now TRICARE requires violence to be done every year and submitted for in order for authorization to be approved. So like that's
Here in North Carolina, some of the funders are requiring that now too.
yeah. So yeah, it's very valid. Like I mean, those are like just even the suicide, like that's, and depending on the type of clients you work with, like I would typically work with clients who are early intervention, in that early early elementary grade level. But no, I can see if you're working with predominantly teens, that's super important to recognize that and identify like how to best, support the parents and the client to get additional services for their, if they're saying like, oh, I want to kill myself,
I had a client, he was 8 when we started with him, but he told us probably a month into therapy sessions that when he was 6, he wanted to kill himself. I'm like, a 6-year-old.
6.
Why?
Yep.
And, we made sure that that wasn't something that he wanted to do now and that he didn't have a plan or anything. But he said it was because his parents were going through a divorce and he was so upset by everything and so having such a hard time with it that he didn't want to live anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So it's happening younger and younger and it's heartbreaking. And
Yeah.
we do need to be prepared for that at any age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing those ideas, Megan. I made some notes about that. So probably figure out what to you.
Awesome. And if I can ever help in any way, just let me know.
Yes, for sure. I'll be emailing you.
Awesome.
Kamala said that she prefers focused workshops, and I also agree with that. I think conferences are nice and whatnot, but I definitely get more if there is something I'm wanting to learn how to do, especially if I go to a workshop on that topic and get to have hours immersed in the content to then take back and apply to my practices, as opposed to just going to a bunch of like 1-hour presentations where you get like maybe just enough information or no information at all. So I definitely agree with that. I really enjoy attending workshops. And some of the conferences that I posted, they do have a day before the conference starts where they're doing workshops that you can sign up for separately, and they're streaming them online. So if that is something of interest to you and you need more CEs or just want to check out what the options are, I would recommend looking at that too. All right,
Yeah.
Joe, any other ideas conference wise that you want to share?
So like I love the idea of like specific workshops. Like, so I attended a sexuality workshop at ABAI. Loved it. Was fantastic. However, like it's such a broad topic that you almost need a very specific like workshops on like one aspect of sexuality, and to have like multiple different like workshops on like these specific topics, because like I mean, there's just so much you can go talk about and you know and discuss, but it's just such a broad topic. I mean, I wouldn't mind, like I would love for conferences to also, I mean, not only on suicide, but like also how to handle like these comorbidities, like if you have ADHD and anxiety on top of being autistic,
Mm-hmm.
because that's something that is a factor that you gotta know like how to program better.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and there is, in case people aren't familiar, this doesn't fit the 2023 because it's already been done for this year, but there is a sex ABA conference. So if you are interested in learning more about the sexuality and different aspects that come up there, that's usually in January, and it's hosted by Warner Leland and Barb Gross, and it's really wonderful. A lot of the presenters do more of a workshop format on like specific topics around sexuality or just what can come up relating to sex and gender and all those types of things. So when we get closer to the end of the year, we'll talk about 2024 conferences, and that'll probably be one of the ones we talk about. So, all right. Well, does anyone else have additional thoughts or comments they want to share before we close out? We're trying to keep ourselves to 30 minutes or potentially sometimes an hour, depending on how long, what the topic is, but we're trying not to have like 2-3 hour long podcast episodes anymore. Alrighty, then we'll go ahead and end for today. As I mentioned, every Tuesday we'll meeting at 12 on Zoom for any Do Better Collective members that want to join us, or on Facebook. And then as soon as we close this out, I'm popping this on to our podcast, so we won't have any more delays. Also, I should mention, anyone who's listening, we do still have 2 episodes in the vault that Joe and I recorded like a year and a half ago at this point, and I promise those are going to be coming out. I just keep it, and it literally takes 5 minutes, but that's just how busy I've been. The 5 minutes have not been there. So those will get coming. I'll get those published hopefully before the end of September, because these next couple of weeks aren't as busy for me, and you'll get access of, listeners can check out that content. They're interviews with some folks that they're amazing podcast episodes. I just haven't been able to make it work to get them published. Alrighty. Thanks for joining us live, Megan and Kamala, and hopefully we'll see some of you next week.
Thank you